Oh, I love that animation. I love it. This is Brian Baldinger, and you're listening to the Best Football Show with Brian Baldinger. You find me at Baldy NFL all over every social media platform. It's all the same: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Meta, at Baldy NFL. We've got news today, and you can find this show, this daily show. Just download a free Odyssey app, and the Best Football Show will pop up. You can like it, subscribe to it, follow me. But yesterday, I was getting ready to do the NFL Network's Insider Show, and we were prepared to talk about quarterbacks and pro days, and I was just talking about Cam Ward, what I saw at University of Miami. And literally minutes before 7 p.m. Eastern, Russell Wilson signed a one-year deal with the New York Giants. And that quarterback carousel that has been spinning since Matt Stafford signed back with the Rams, and we've seen all these different quarterbacks, Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, we've seen all these quarterbacks move around and around and around. It's now coming to a close with Russell Wilson joining Jameis Winston with the New York Giants. And it does a couple things. Just for the Giants, they now have confidence at the quarterback position. You can debate Jameis Winston's 10-year career. You can debate what Russell Wilson has done over the last 5 years. You can do all that. But prior to them signing Jameis Winston a little over a week ago, they had Tommy DeVito as the only quarterback on the roster. And it's not fun to go into the offseason with that situation. So now I saw Joe Shane at Cam Ward's pro day on Monday at the University of Miami. He was very present at talking to Cam Ward and talking to other people. This does a couple of things for the New York Giants. A, you now have got two quarterbacks that have started a lot of games, almost 300 games. Russell Wilson has started 199 regular season games. Jameis Winston has started 87 regular season games. So they've got guys that have started almost 300 games that can still play at some level. They can learn an offense. They've all been to multiple teams. They can learn an offense. They know how to conduct themselves. You never have to worry about Jameis or Russell when the lights go down in New York, like they're professionals. That's good. But what it does is it takes the pressure off of them having to maybe draft Shedeur Sanders, provided that what Tennessee is doing isn't a smokescreen. I don't think it is. I think they're going to take Cam Ward. But Cleveland's sitting there at 2. And maybe they take Shedeur. Maybe they take Abdul Carter. Nobody really knows. Maybe they sign Kirk Cousins. Nobody really knows what Cleveland's going to do. They've got Kenny Pickett there. All right. He's at this stage of his career, he's a backup quarterback. We don't know what Cleveland's going to do. But it takes the pressure off the Giants of trying to maybe make a deal with Cleveland to go get the number 2 pick where they're forced to sort of take Shedeur. I don't think they want to be in that position. But it does not preclude them from taking a quarterback with the day 2 pick. Like they have the number 34 pick. They have the number 3 pick. If Shedeur's there at 3, they could take him. I don't think they will. I feel like they've got the bridge to whatever they do. But at the 34th pick, we know Shedeur will be gone. But maybe Jackson Dart's available. Maybe, Kyle McCord's available. You go through the list of all the guys. But with the 34th pick, what they could do is trade back into the first round and get one of these quarterbacks, Jackson Dart. He's got a nice resume at Ole Miss, 3-year starter, almost 40 starts. His last game against Duke was outrageous. 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. Did everything in the game. Extended plays, scrambled, threw touchdown passes, and put up 52 points. Okay, I'm just selling Jackson Dart. But that's something the Giants could do. But I feel like it took the pressure off of them to have to go get Shedeur or draft Shedeur, which I don't think they want to be in a pressure position to do it. I'll be at Shedeur's pro day on April 4th. I'm excited about going to meet him. I don't know him, but I certainly know Dion and Sapp and Marshall Falk and all the guys there on the staff. So I'm excited about talking to him about Shedeur, watching him throw, watching him interact, and see what he does. And I'm sure the whole league is very excited about that opportunity since he decided not to throw at the combine, which is fine. We'll see that. But I do think the Giants are in a good position right now. I'm going to do a breakdown on Russell Wilson today. Didn't play the first 6 weeks. He was bothered by a calf strain from the day before practice started in Latrobe. Like he was bothered. I saw him out there, kind of just going through some stretches and some light throws and things like that. And then he started week 7 and played pretty well until the final 5 weeks of the season. He's taken too many sacks, but one thing about Russell, he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He had 16 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions. He doesn't turn the ball over. That's something the Giants have had to wrestle with. They've had to wrestle with quarterbacks that took too many sacks and turned the ball over too much. Like, that's not a winning formula. The other thing it does is I don't think there's any mistaken notion about what Mr. Mara is deciding this year. The Giants have to win this year. Joe Shane and Brian Dable are under a hot lamp to win this year. I mean, the fact that they were both brought back after a 3-14 season is almost a miracle by itself. So they got to win now. And, I think you get Russell and Jameis in the fold, you have a better chance to win with what they had. I also think Russell's a starter. You can look at the contract, go, okay, $10.5 guaranteed $1 million, $21 million deal. It's kind of light, to be honest with you. I don't know who they were bidding against, and maybe that's why it's light. And you get, Jameis on a 2-year deal and $4 million a year. They're literally putting $15 million into their quarterback position right now. I mean, San Francisco's trying to figure out how to play Brock Purdy or pay Brock Purdy. I mean, it's going to be in the $60 million range. So they, that's why they were able to have money to sign Paulson Adebo and to sign Javon Holland and Chauncey Golston and a bunch of other players. They had money, and they still have money. So I think the Giants are better today than they were 10 days ago when they didn't have Jameis or Russell. I don't think it's the answer. I think they're still going to draft a quarterback. But that was the news yesterday, and that was my reaction to it. Giants got to win now. We need a quarterback that knows how to play. I mean, Russell's going to learn his 4th offense in 4 years, all right? So in 5 years. Like, Jameis has learned a lot of different offenses. Played well at times last year, but we know he is guilty of turning the ball over far too frequently. I would say that the Giants, when they signed Russell, probably made their courtesy phone call to Jameis saying, we just signed Russell. You're the backup. Russell's the starter, but be ready. I'm sure that's the message that Jameis Winston got. And he doesn't have any choice. Like, that's his role. His role has been the backup. And he's been a backup for a long time. And he knows what his role is. And so he came off the bench last year in Cleveland and played well at times, won some games. He came off the bench in New Orleans, won some games. That's his role. He understands it. The other news that broke yesterday was Stefon Diggs, who played half the season last year, put up almost 50 catches and almost 800 yards with Houston, signed with the New England Patriots. And I guess it came out of left field only because you thought the big money was gone. But he signed for 3 years, $69 million, 26 guaranteed million. It's a pretty big contract, especially for the guy who's, now going to be on his 3rd team in 3 years and coming off a torn ACL. And so they must feel pretty good about his health. They probably worked him out, probably went to visit him a little bit, but they needed a number 1 wide receiver. I mean, they drafted Jalen Polk and Demario Douglas and Keyshawn Butte, young guys. They signed Matt Collins from Buffalo. But, the one thing about Diggs is he's a router. He can win one-on-ones. So I feel like it's a good situation to help Drake May out. Give him a guy. In fact, if you go back and look at the game, week 6 last year, the Houston Texans went to New England and played. And, there's Christian Gonzalez, who's about as talented as any young corner in this league. And Diggs beat him for a touchdown on a 10-yard touchdown. Put the crossover dribble on him and beat him inside. And C.J. Stroud fed him. So I know Diggs can still play. And he'll get a chance to go up against Buffalo twice a year. Those will be some fun games. But personally, I like Stefon. I know people want to say he's a me guy and about numbers and stats, and that's probably part of it for sure. He's not happy when he's not getting the ball. A.J. Brown's not happy when he's not getting the ball. Nobody's happy at wide receiver if they're not getting the ball. Nobody. So Diggs can help that young receiving core. I'm not ready to give up on Jalen Polk at all. I think he's going to be a good player. Or Demario Douglas or Kayshon Boutte, who showed flashes last year. But they needed a true number one. And that's what Diggs has been. I don't know that he was that in Houston. He didn't need to be with what they had around him. But this is a good signing, I think, for the Patriots. They've spent a lot of money. They've upgraded a lot of positions. And so what you do when you draft Drake May like they did, you never stop building around him. I don't think their offense line is nearly good enough. I don't think the running back situation is nearly good enough. I don't think that they're good enough yet to make Drake May, make him feel like they've given him all the help. I think they've got to draft some offensive linemen that can play, like flat out play. But what it does is it probably takes them out of the wide receiver market in the first round. They're picking number 4. They're going to get a good player at 4. It might be Abdul Carter. It might be Travis Hunter. It might be an offensive lineman. They could trade back and go get themselves, a guy like Membu right now. So they need linemen, okay, guys that can really play. Will Campbell has been, sort of assigned to him in a lot of mock drafts, whatever that's worth. But I think they can get themselves a starting offensive lineman, maybe 2 starting offensive linemen in this draft, and maybe another defensive lineman. So they've got options. They had a lot of money. They spent a lot of money. I saw, I've seen a bunch of their brass, Elliott Wolf, Mike Vrabel. I've seen them at the Senior Bowl. I've seen them at pro days. I'm excited about going to Penn State this Friday. I'll be reporting from there, I think, at some point. I'm going to sit down with Abdul Carter. I'm going to sit down with their all-world tight end, Tyler Warren. I'm excited about talking to the coach, James Franklin, about a lot of his prospects. And then I'll be out in a little over a week to go see Colorado and see what Shedeur and Travis are all about. So I hope to give you some of that inside information. But that was the breaking news yesterday. I think this quarterback carousel always spins, and it's always drives free agency. And it really eliminates some teams from having to draft quarterbacks in this draft, or teams don't seem to be really excited. But I do think after spending Monday with Cam Ward and seeing the Tennessee contingency, I'm sure I'll see some of the same guys in Boulder, Colorado on April 4th, evaluating Shedeur. But I'm excited about seeing that because the carousel, I believe there's one more spin. And I don't believe Kirk Cousins is going to be in Atlanta. I just don't. Maybe by contract, he has to be because they just, basically. But I think Atlanta would be willing to pay some of his contract to go away. It's Michael Penix's team. Kirk Cousins does not want to be a backup quarterback. He believes he can still play. So does Cleveland sign another veteran quarterback? Like after they got Kenny Pickett, do they sign another quarterback? It's interesting to see what might happen there. But the carousel is slowing down. So what it does is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's where this thing is going to end today on the Best Football Show. Is Aaron Rodgers a Pittsburgh Steeler? I'll tell you a quick story. In 2021, I was doing the national radio on a Sunday at Lambeau Field, Pittsburgh and Green Bay. And it was a big tailgate, as you can imagine, because Steeler fans travel. And obviously, Packer fans are Packer fans. You're going to see it at the draft. I did a scrimmage, a Friday night scrimmage, one year. Me, Sterling Sharp, we went up to, and it might have been Bucky Brooks, I forget, but we were all part of the NFL Network. And we went up, obviously Sterling, Hall of Fame receiver with Green Bay. We went up there to cover and do a pre-scrimmage show from Lambeau Field. This is a Friday night scrimmage in August, and that Lambeau Field was sold out. It was like game day. So when you look at, so anyways, 2021, the Steelers come to town, and Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. And, he's coming to an end in Green Bay, and Ben Roethlisberger is coming to an end in Pittsburgh. And Steeler fans were lining the streets of Lombardi Drive and Holmgren Way and all this stuff. And they're telling Packer fans, we're going to steal your quarterback. We're going to steal Aaron Rodgers and win a Super Bowl with them in Pittsburgh. And I was listening to this chatter, and it was just fun banner. It was just fans tailgating and having fun. But it might come down to that. It might come down to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know that there's another spin, another chair left, except Pittsburgh. And, we know that Aaron is very, very conscientious. He thinks through every situation. But look, they went out and got DK Metcalf, and they've got George Pickens, and they'll probably draft a star player at 21. Could be a running back. If Tyler Warren is available, they want a more explosive tight end. They'll go get it. I feel like they, when they get their offensive line fixed right now with what they have, it could be attractive to Aaron Rodgers. Could be the best offensive line he's played behind in a couple of years. Certainly better than any Jet offensive line, and maybe better than what he had at the end in Green Bay. So that's going to be important. And he's got Mike Tomlin there to run the locker room. He's got leaders on defense that he can be challenged by in practice. I think it's attractive place. I don't know what the money is like and what they're offering. I know they're talking. But I feel like if Aaron's going to play and if he's going to sign, Pittsburgh is really the last stop right now. That's been the best football show. That's what is in front of me. Big trade or big deal yesterday with Russell and Diggs. We'll see what happens with Aaron here pretty soon. I'm off to Penn State tomorrow. Looking forward to talking to James Franklin, Abdul Carter, Tyler Warren, and a bunch of other guys. I'll have that for you. Excited about watching Penn State's Pro Day. All right, everybody. That's been the best football show. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to talking to you real soon.